Now, as we were just hearing from Tim Vickery in Brazil, there are concerns among some other Latin American countries that they too could be targeted by the American government. But European leaders are rather wary too. The Prime Minister of Greenland, which is part of Denmark, has issued a statement saying enough is enough. No more fantasies about annexation. Now, our senior reporter, Clovis Casali, is with me here in the studio to talk a little bit about all of this. Now, Clovis, you were in Greenland last year to make a series of reports. And even then, there was already some concern about the language coming out of Donald Trump's mouth.
Indeed, because the US President Donald Trump has set his eyes on Greenland for years already, and regularly in recent months has been repeating that he believes the US need to take control of this autonomous Arctic island, which is part, of course, of Denmark, but with large autonomy. I spoke this morning on the phone to someone who lives in Nuuk, which is the capital of Greenland. Actually, I spoke to him a few hours ago, and he was telling me that anger is higher than ever currently on this island, very close to the North Pole, this Arctic island. Why? Because of Trump's words. It has sparked more anger than before. People clearly, they're sick and tired of hearing Donald Trump talk about taking control of their territory. Anger, but also fears after what has taken place in Venezuela, because Donald Trump is someone who talks a lot. That's what we've always been saying. Donald Trump is emphatic, provocative. Will he really do what he says? Well, this time he did with Nicolas Maduro, ordering his basically capturing the president of Venezuela. And with its military might, clearly the US have what it takes to take control of Greenland quite easily. And the people there in Greenland know it, though it would mean breaking the rules of NATO, because Greenland is part of Denmark, therefore a NATO member. So if Donald Trump ordered an attack of a NATO member, that would be clearly unprecedented. Denmark also a long-time ally of the US. Let's take a listen to Donald Trump speaking of Greenland and saying why it's so important for the US to take control of the Arctic island.
We need Greenland from a national security situation. It's so strategic. Right now, Greenland is covered with Russian and Chinese ships all over the place. We need Greenland from the standpoint of national security. And Denmark is not going to be able to do it, I can tell you.
And Clovis, is there anybody in Greenland who wants it actually to become the 51st state?
There are people, barely 5% of the population, according to polls, the so-called MAGA movement in Greenland. Those who believe that Donald Trump and the US could help increase economic power for people in Greenland. Very few people, barely 5% of the 57,000 inhabitants of Greenland. And the Prime Minister, you said it earlier, of Greenland came out today to say that Donald Trump needs to give up his fantasies of annexation of Greenland. Enough is enough. Those are his words. For having met people in Greenland, I can tell you the people there are very proud. They don't want to see a former colonial power, Denmark, being replaced by a new colonial power, this time being the United States. And polls showed last year that 85% of people in Greenland don't want to belong to the United States. They very well know that Donald Trump wants Greenland not just to enhance national security, but because of its soils, because of the raw earth, because of the rich minerals Greenland has, and also possibly the oil reserves. Problem is, in Greenland, you've got 80% of the territory covered by thick ice. It would be very difficult, expensive to explore the underground of Greenland. Very complicated, but it could be very well one of the reasons why Donald Trump wants Greenland so badly.
Just a final thought from you then, Clovis. Obviously, there are many Greenlanders who are opposed to this possible American plan. Denmark and European leaders also rather concerned.
Outrage is the word to describe the mood in Denmark, in Europe. The Danish Prime Minister saying there's absolutely no sense to talk about the US needing to take over Greenland. The US already present militarily, that's worth pointing out. The US has a base in Greenland. Greenland with Denmark part of NATO. So if the US want to improve their military capabilities there, they can. They can deploy ships around Greenland pretty freely. So it's more or less an excuse. That's what Denmark and people in Greenland tend to think. And it's worth pointing out also that in the 2025 intelligence report made by the intelligence services of Denmark, well, Denmark for the first time classified the US as a security risk, a striking shift in the relationship between Denmark and Washington, one of its closest allies until recently, until Donald Trump said all that he has been saying about wanting Greenland and so on. Europe also appalled. France, for instance, expressing its solidarity with Denmark. Nordic nations also saying it's up to Greenland and Denmark to decide the course of its own future and no one else. Let's listen to the spokesperson for the Foreign Affairs of Europe, the EU's Foreign Affairs spokesperson. That's a real term. Let's take a listen.
The EU will continue to uphold the principles of national sovereignty, territorial integrity, and the inviolability of borders and the UN Charter. These are universal principles and will not stop defending them. All the more so if the territorial integrity of a member state of the European Union is questioned.
So EU members very much united in condemning Donald Trump's words, in condemning the US, or the US president's attempts to take over Greenland. What did Donald Trump say in recent hours? He said we should wait for the next 3 weeks, 20 days, and then we'll know more about what the US want to do in Greenland. Person I spoke to in Nuuk, the capital of Greenland, was telling me, we don't know what to expect with Donald Trump. Could it be an invasion? Probably not troops on the ground. He wouldn't even need that because the US is so powerful. They could take control and order an annexation of Greenland pretty easily. Clearly not what the people in Greenland want and not in Europe.
All right, Clovis Casali, thank you very much indeed.